Hello and welcome to the 6th video of OpenMCT for engineers. In this video I'm going to show you a very powerful tool in OpenMCT, the conditional styling. You can use certain objects to change the style of other objects. So for example, if you get under a certain voltage or a certain altitude, the design of the object will change, meaning getting red or orange or whatever color you choose. To do this, there are several options in OpenMCT. The main one is the condition set. You can use it on its own, just creating it and drag and drop it in your display, or you can use it to design other objects like plots, gauges, progress bars, or whatever you like to style. The Summary widget cannot be used to style other widgets, but it can be styled on itself, and it functions as a button. So you can, for example, make a condition like battery warning, and it will change to orange and have a little exclamation mark showing, and then you can click on it and it will open another window in the same browser tab or in a new browser tab. The third option to style conditionally is the limit provider. This one can only be used in plots and will show certain alarm markers if telemetry data is exceeding certain limits or meeting other conditions. First, we're gonna alter our simulation so we can implement some meaningful conditions. To do so, we change our plan and we'll change the altitude of some waypoints. Let's say waypoint 3 shall be only 15 meters above ground, and as well waypoint 5. So we can trigger some conditional styling here. Let's restart the simulation. Save the plan to the plane. Set the mode to automatic. We still have some errors. Let's do some pre-flight calibration. Alright, and arm our plane. So, as we can see in our screen, we should now see the telemetry flowing. Yes, perfectly. So let's introduce our first conditional style. We will use the condition set. The condition widget is only a button in which you can specify a URL from up here behind your localhost or whatever you have in here, to which you will be directed if you click the button. You can set the label and you can style it with a condition set, but the Summary widget has basically the same function, and you can also change the label, so we won't go further into this. So let's create our first condition set. Let's call it altitude, and we will save it not directly in our display. We will save it in a folder, so we can either drag and drop it in or just use it as a condition to style other objects. Because if we would directly save it in the display, it would be displayed in the display all the time, and we maybe do not want this. First, we have to drag and drop in the telemetry points we want to use in our condition set, which is here the altitude. We can set test data. For example, we say, okay, our test data is altitude has 20 meters, so we can trigger this test data and see if our condition set works as we intended to. So let's add our first condition. First condition will be below 30 meters and will output true when all criteria is met, and the criteria is altitude meters is less than 30. We can also add more criterias and match them as we please. It's quite intuitive. You can play with that. We are gonna add another condition, call it below 40 meters, which will output true when all criteria are met and the criteria is meters is less than 40. So those two criteria will now overlap, because is less than 40 meters is always true when is less than 30 meters is true. So we will add another criteria and say when altitude meters is greater than or equal to 30. So now we have the logic is complete. We can test it with our test data. If we say okay, yeah, 20 meters is okay. If we apply it, only the bottom one will show. If you apply 35, the first one will show true. Let's save this condition set and use it in our display. We saved it in the folder, not in the display, because if we would have saved it in the display, it will always show its string output, which you can use. It's quite handy. You can also only show the label, for example, or only show the value, which is more interesting. At the moment it's true, because we're below 30 meters, as you can see. So you can write conditional messages on your display. But we will use it to style our altitude progress bar. To do so, we need to be in the edit mode, select our progress bar, go to styles, and use our conditional styling. Here altitude, and now we have below 40 meters, it shall show orange with black writing, and below 30 meters it shall show red with also black writing. So let's check if this worked. So there we go. Under 40 it gets orange, and under 30 it gets red. And if we go above 40 again, it will be normal styled again. So you can use this condition set on any object, also plots, to change the styling of it. So another very interesting object is the Summary Widget. It can be used to display messages or to sum up some conditions and print messages depending on what conditions is met. And it, compared to the condition set, it also has the function of acting as a button, similar to the condition widget, but there you have more options, like opening it in another tab on the same tab, and more styling options as well. You can change the label. So it's like a mix of condition set and condition widget. So let's have a battery warning here, for example. Battery warning, and it will open in a new tab, so we won't miss out on data here. And the URL we will not fit in yet. We will just use it to display, and later we will use it as a button as well. This one we will also save. Now we will directly save it to the display, since we will use it to display data. So now we have to drag and drop in the telemetry points we would like to use, and let's use battery voltage and battery remaining. And let's add some rules. As you can see here already, you can have more styling options. So let's have a check mark, battery okay. When the rule is named okay and it shall be green, nicer green, with bright rounding. Battery okay, and we will say if all conditions are met, so say battery voltage is greater than 20 volts, for example, and now we don't have that much information about the battery, so we just will say the percentage is greater than. Then let's add another rule, call it warning. We'll say battery warning, and let's have an attention grabbing label, get it orange, black writing, and then say if any condition is met, either if the voltage is less than 19 or when the remaining percent is less than 30%. So now we have two rules, and the summary widget will be styled accordingly. If we go to our item here, display, we have our summary widget there. Let's put it down here. And of course we have now battery warning because we have 0% remaining. So let's check if this works when we restart the simulation and the battery will be recharged. Alright, this works fairly good, but we still have a battery warning. So here I misread the voltage in Mission Planner, but I leave in the correction so you can see how to easily adapt your objects in OpenMCT. Change the value of the OK to 12 volt and also of the warning, and save. So now we have battery okay. And while the battery is discharging, we are going to add another functionality to our summary widget, and we will add an URL. But to use this feature, we will create another display. Call it battery warning display, and also put it in the objects folder. And in here we will add some information about the battery, like the voltage displayed as a stacked plot, and also battery remaining. So we will have more detailed information in here. Save and finish this. So now we need to copy the URL up to layout.view and add it to our summary widget. Okay. And now if we click on it, we will open a new tab where more information to the warning is shown. So now we can see the battery remaining is below 28%, and so the battery warning turns on and we can see, okay, what is going on, and here we see further information about this warning. So the last way to style conditionally is for plots, like the overlay plot or a stacked plot, because with the condition set you can only style the whole window, so you can let it turn red or the writing will get red, but you will not know which telemetry point caused the alarm. To style telemetry points individually in an overlay plot, you need to add limit providers to your OpenMCT plugin, and to do so you will have to alter some code I will show you now. We need to make changes directly to the plugin where the limit provider is installed. As an example, you can look at the DG800 plugin and the DG800 limit provider, and we will implement it now. First, we will create the limit loader JavaScript file in the aircraft 42 folder. So we make a new file here, call it aircraft 42 limit provider.js, and copy and paste the code of the DG800 limit provider, adapt it to our needs. So we want to have the limits for example here ground speed and airspeed. So we say, okay, if we get below 21 it will show an alarm marker. To do so we need to set the keys accordingly, and the keys are in the dictionary. Let's get to speed. That's the airspeed value. And the ground speed value. Okay, so here we have if it's above a certain value and shall get red, if it's below a certain value and shall get red, if it's above a certain value and shall get yellow, and if it's below a certain value and get yellow as well. We're gonna say if it's below 20 meters per second it shall get red, and if it's below 21 meters per second it shall get yellow. Then we need to adapt here the namespace to the aircraft 42 namespace, and now we just have to replace the function names here from DG800 to aircraft 42. Replace those. Yes, so we're done in here. Now we have to adapt the plugin to the DG800 plugin. We will import the limit provider and make it available as a function called aircraft 42 limit provider, and then we will install down here the limit provider. Change the name, save it, And since OpenMCT is still running in development environment, it will rebuild automatically, and we can go back to our view and reload it. So now we see, once we go below 21, there will be alarm markers, and here it shows orange, and we didn't go quite below 20, but it would have gotten red there. We can check in the history. Let's say, show me the last 20 minutes. If we, we started here, so here it should be red. Yeah, exactly, perfect. So now we can style our display with certain conditions and tools, which will help to identify errors or grasp information faster. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.